Hello, and welcome. Today we're walking through how to manually download a scenario file from Laerdal Scenario Cloud for use in Leap or on a SimPad device. This step-by-step walkthrough is designed for those moments when your simulation setup isn't supported by automatic sync, but you still want to make the most of everything Scenario Cloud has to offer. And so, we'll guide you through the entire process together. Let's begin. First, we open an internet browser, Google Chrome is recommended, and we make our way to scenariocloud.laerdal.com. In the upper right corner of the page, we click Sign In, we enter our email address, click Next, then enter our password, and choose Sign In. Once we're logged in, we arrive at the Scenario Cloud landing page. Now, let's find the scenario we want to download. It may be located in the main Scenario Cloud library or within one of our collections under the My Scenarios tab. When we find the correct scenario, we click into it. At the top of the scenario page, we find the Attachments link, marked with a small paperclip icon, and we click it. In the Attachments menu, under the Prepare section, we choose the file that shares the scenario name and ends with .scx. This is the file we'll use with Leap or with a SimPad device. When the download prompt appears in the lower left corner of the browser, we click Download Attachment. The scenario file begins to download, settling into the browser's default download location, usually the Downloads folder on the computer. Once the download finishes, we click the Downloads icon in the upper right corner of the browser and select Open File Location. This reveals the folder where the scenario file now rests. We'll return to this folder soon, so for the moment, we simply minimize it. Next, we'll walk through how to move this scenario file into the correct scenarios folder so it's ready when starting a simulation. The steps ahead depend on the control device being used. First, we'll look at the process for an instructor PC using the Leap application. To save the scenario locally for Leap, we begin by opening Laerdal Simulation Home. From the main page, we click on the tile labeled Folder Path Editor. When the Folder Path Editor opens, we look under Dependent Paths, searching for the path labeled Scenarios. We click Browse, and this reveals the exact folder on the computer where Leap scenario files are stored. With the Scenarios folder now open, we return to the Downloads folder we opened earlier. There, we select the downloaded .scx scenario file, and then, whether we choose to copy and paste it to keep a duplicate, or cut and paste it to move the original entirely, we place it into the Scenarios folder. Once the file appears in the Scenarios folder, it is now ready for use within Leap. After completing this step for all scenarios you plan to use, you're ready to begin a simulation as usual. And remember the sim startup order: simulator first, then the instructor device, and finally, the monitor. Next, we open the Leap application and choose Automatic Session. When we reach the Select a Scenario screen, we find our manually added scenarios listed under Local Content. We select the scenario we want and click Start. If the scenario isn't immediately visible, we look to the upper left corner and toggle Show Only Compatible Scenarios off. This allows us to see all available scenarios, even those with limited feature compatibility. Once the scenario loads, we click Start Session, and just like that, we're ready to begin our simulation. Now, let's gently transition and talk about how to bring the downloaded scenario file onto a SimPad device for simulation use. To begin, we'll need the SimPad device nearby, powered on, and connected to the same computer where the scenario file was downloaded, using a USB cable. When the SimPad connects this way, it behaves much like a simple USB thumb drive, allowing us to move files through the computer's file explorer. First, we open an additional File Explorer window. To do that, we find the File Explorer application, the little folder icon, right-click on it, and choose File Explorer. When the new window appears, we look to the navigation panel on the left-hand side. There, among the files and devices, we locate the SimPad device and click on it. Depending on your system, it may appear under this PC or network. Once the SimPad opens, we look for the folder labeled Scenarios and click into it. This is the place where all scenario files must be stored, so they can be used for simulation on the SimPad. With the Scenarios folder open, we return to the Downloads folder we used earlier, the one containing the scenario file from Scenario Cloud. We select the applicable .scx file that we want to move. When the file is highlighted, we can either copy and paste it into the SimPad Scenarios folder, keeping a duplicate, or cut and paste it, moving the original directly. Once the file transfers, we'll see it appear in the Scenarios folder on the SimPad, confirming it's ready for use. After repeating this process for any additional scenario files you normally use, eject the SimPad to end the connection to the PC. Then you're ready to begin your simulation just as you typically would. Remember the sim startup order: simulator first, then the instructor device, and finally the monitor powering them on in that sequence. On the SimPad device, from the main screen, we choose Automatic Session. When we arrive at the Choose a Scenario screen, the manually transferred scenario files now appear under Local Content. We select the scenario we want to run and click Start. As a quick reminder, if a scenario includes features or capabilities that aren't supported by your connected simulator, a pop-up notification will appear, letting you know you're using a scenario with unsupported features. To continue, simply click Yes to finish loading the simulation session. Once the scenario finishes loading, we click Start Session and we're ready to begin the simulation. And that's it. You've successfully downloaded and added a scenario from Scenario Cloud for use in Leap or on a SimPad device. Thanks for following along with us, and happy simulating.